Carrie, I love entrepreneurship dearly. I love entrepreneurship one because, like you said, it's job creating, and but also it's self actualizing. It's a if you tell someone, look, you have to go build it, you have to solve a problem you care about. That's just a very different process and a different set of people that result than, hey, your goal is to get this badge, and then if you get that badge, then you'll get into this org, and then they'll reward you a lot, and then it's just a different mindset. I spent 6.5 years training young entrepreneurs. I'm still involved with a number of startups today. And so I love the fact that you also were a part of cultivating that in the next generation. And like you said, it's not necessarily that you're going to go out and start a company. I mean, you can join a firm in various ways. I did write a book on this subject called Smart People Should Build Things about entrepreneurship back in my Venture for America days. I don't know if you probably wouldn't have. I mean, there are a lot of entrepreneurship books out there, but that was about my time training entrepreneurs.
No, but I'm going to read it now. I'm clearly going to go get it now. So I think that one of the most interesting things about, watching these kids build things is that they are so proud of their efforts and so invested. And when we talk about young people today and many of the, the challenges facing them, so often they feel out of control. They feel depressed. They feel that, they feel
Yes.
not optimistic about the world around them. And in so many ways, entrepreneurship and really just the entrepreneurial mindset, you don't have to be starting a company, but having that mindset that I have control of my life. I'm going to
Yes.
do things that are going to make the world a better place. I'm going to gather with a few friends and make the changes that I can make. That can really, I didn't see the same issues that I see in young people in America in general, so much at Babson because they were empowered. They really felt that they could make a change, they could do something with their lives, and that they weren't just subject to all of these really huge trends, whether it's, climate change or whether it's just the country that you
AI and
live in and the
automation.
political climate, AI, all of these things that just feel overwhelming to people right now. The idea that you can be engaged in something that is going to try to at least control your world and maybe have an impact on the broader world is a very comforting and empowering feeling for young people.
You know what I find to be the antidote for anxiety and depression is action and agency. It's this locus of control, is what we used to call it at Venture for America. But it's look like you control your own, certainly your own state of mind. Well, you can't totally control that, but you can influence that. You can control your own behavior. You can take action. One of the reasons why I enjoy what we're doing with Forward so much is I only feel better about a problem if I'm doing something about it. And if you don't do anything about it, then the problem can really, really plague you.
That's right. And I think that entrepreneurship also teaches you to take reasonable risks, right? People often think of entrepreneurs as big risk takers, but they aren't. They try to measure like what's a risk I can afford to take and invest in that. But by that incremental risk taking, you really become more brave and more wise about what the risk really entails. And that's a lot of the concerns that people have today are around this notion that they can't take risks because the outside forces are so strong. And when starting a new party, right? It's a big risk. And a lot of people say to me, "Oh, what are you thinking? It's going to take 20 years." You have to start somewhere and you have to take a risk. It's not that big of a risk. It's a bigger risk doing nothing.
I hope Forward becomes the party of entrepreneurs and entrepreneurship and building and agency and giving us back control of our own futures. But I couldn't agree more with the sentiment you just expressed that most of the risks people are talking about are phantom risks. This is something that drives me nuts. That there are so many people that's like, oh, can't do this, can't do that. It's like, wait a minute. There's a bigger risk of us sitting around and waiting for the bad things to overtake us. Or when I was young and I started my first company, that totally flopped, by the way. I thought that the risk was looking in the mirror 30 years later and not having done anything. Which, by the way, I was like, well, that's a risk I could control. Like I can at least take a few shots at something. And when I was recruiting for Venture for America, I told my wife this story the other day, and she thought it was really funny. What I said to a bunch of 22-year-olds, I said, look, things might not always work out for you if you head down this entrepreneurial path, but at least you'll be able to remember what year it was. Like, at least you'll be able to remember what the heck you were doing. and that gave Evelyn a real laugh. But it's, to me, really, I think people tend to very much overweight certain risks, to your point, and then underweight others.
When I was working at the Center for Advancing the American Dream, I got to meet a lot of entrepreneurs who had come here from other countries and had specifically chosen to start their firms and their ventures here in the US, even though they were from Europe or Russia or Africa or South America, where, all over the world, but they felt that the environment here was more conducive to success and starting new ventures. And part of that was that we believe in forgiveness and new starts, new beginnings for people. So failure isn't this permanent state of affairs. Like, that's the guy who started a business once. Oh, well, it failed and he's a failure forever. It's more like you can be proud of the fact that you tried to do something, whether it failed or succeeded. You can be proud of it. I'm proud of running for office for however many times I did, and I failed way more times than I succeeded. So I think that we in America have, we take it for granted that we have this notion of allowing people to begin again and have infinite numbers of lives and careers and expressions.
Hey YouTube, glad you're enjoying the podcast. If you really like it, hit subscribe, and then YouTube will notify you every time we have a bang up new guest. Thank you.